Welcome to Art Made Easy, where we showcase the best art products and tools with the lowest amount of hassle to work with. Today we're featuring Rena-Stone, the natural stone casting compound, because it's incredibly easy to work with, virtually hassle-free, and artists tend to love Rena-Stone because it's so realistic. I mean, the granite casting comes from real granite, the marble casting comes from real marble. And actually the name Rena-Stone comes from Renaissance. It's the Renaissance of the stone. So we asked our top artists to play with Rena-Stone, and today we're going to see what happened. I'm here with Tom Durham, who is one of our amazing artists who's going to be using Rena-Stone. So Tom, tell us about your work. What kind of art do you do?
Well, I'm a figurative sculptor. I do a lot of pieces with drawing and sculpture that are very Renaissance-like, with a little surreal twist here and there. You know, just think of Goya with a pointed expression of today, you know, only in sculpture. I'm part of the National Sculpture Society here in New York. You know, shown pretty much throughout Italy, Spain, United States. And the last couple of years I've been experimenting with a lot of different materials because the price of making sculpture is so high today. It's like, what can you find that work with that's just as good as anything else, which brought me here with to try out Rena-Stone.
Great. So tell us about the different kinds of sculpting that you can use. What are the materials that you can use?
Well, you can do bronze casting, you can do stone carving, you can do cast and plaster, you can do resin casting.
And what are the differences between all these different ones, the bronze, the stone castings?
Bronze casting is probably the most expensive, okay, and the most difficult to do because it requires a long process of, you know, modeling something in clay, doing a mold off of it, a wax impression, and then from the wax impression you do another mold, melt the wax out. Then you pour bronze where the wax used to be, and it's an involved process with a lot of expensive equipment, and it requires a lot of teamwork in most cases. You know, it's not a solo operation. Stone carving you can do pretty much by yourself, but you're lifting 500 pounds for a small block of stone at times, and still, you know, it's a little bit more time consuming, and it's a subtractive process, so you don't want to break it. Plaster casting is similar to what we're going to be working with today, but it's still very, very fragile and can chip and break extremely easily. So
tell us about Rena-Stone. What do you know about it?
Well, I just met the person who invented the product, and he was telling me about it, and I read the directions. And it's basically it's a casting type of stone that has natural stone in it, like a Carrara marble or granite, you know, and it has a colloidal system that you mix with it. It's fairly simple to directions is what I've noticed on it. You can mix it up on a tabletop. You don't have to have special equipment for it, or you don't have to bake it at this point. And so it's just mixing it, pouring it, and into a mold, and you take it from there. Yeah. Right. And what's nice about it, it's non-toxic. It doesn't have the smell that resins have. You know, where you just you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Because I like things that have a natural feel to it. It doesn't have that plastic look or plastic feel, where the resins, no matter what you do with it, it always looks plastic. You know, it just doesn't quite look real, it looks fake. And
looking and feeling the finished copy of them, the finished work, was it something that compared to, for instance, bronze castings and
Well, I spent the first 2 or 3 years in my career just doing stone carvings, with Indiana limestone, marble, and so it really has that feel and look of actual marble and stone, which appeals to me, these days. And the fact that I don't have to have special equipment for it, I went, yeah, I think I can like this stuff, yeah.
And looking at the directions, how did it seem to compare with the other kinds of castings that you've done?
Easy.
Yeah?
Yeah, very easy, quite honestly.
Oh, so take us through, for instance, a plaster casting and compare that with the Rena-Stone casting.
Well, plaster casting, what happens is it's very similar, but you're mixing it with water, not a different type of solution. Plaster is about 99% gypsum. It's an old product. You put the water in first, then you add the plaster, then you stir it, and once you stir it, it takes a chemical bonding system where it all starts setting up. So you're not supposed to add plaster after that. And then you mix it up, and it takes about 20 to 30 minutes for it to dry, or even to set up for that matter. I mean, it takes a little bit longer for it to completely dry, but for just setting up, it takes about 20 minutes. From what I read with this, it doesn't take very long for it to set up, but then it takes longer for it to completely dry before you demold it. But it's more durable, it's harder, it doesn't chip easily. With plaster, you can just take a fingernail and scrape the surface of it, and it just scratches it. With this, you'd have to actually go in with real stone carving tools to scratch it.
So do you have to retouch plaster
All
often?
the time. All the time, yeah.
And you think that once you're done with this, you won't have to do
When
that anymore?
you move plasters, you have to touch them
Really?
It's not,
Oh, man.
so
you think that once the Run-A-Stone is done, you wouldn't have to retouch that very often?
any casting product that you use, there's always a little tiny bit of touch-up on it. You might have a few air bubbles, you might have a few tiny little holes, but it's easy to patch up. You just make a simple, thin solution, and you can fill it again. So but the fact that it's much more durable, it's a harder tensile strength, makes it a little bit more appealing to me at this point. Yeah.
Wow. So with the marble castings, apparently you don't even have to heat those in an oven or anything. Are there any other products out there that you know of that you don't have to heat them in ovens at all?
The resins you don't, but it's so toxic you don't want to use it in your house. Okay, you want to use it in a very open space. Plasters, again, it just creates dust filters everywhere. So you open a bag of plaster, you're going to be sweeping up about 5 yards around you, for that matter. With this stuff, opening up nothing. It's just just sits where it's supposed to sit and mix it. So it's clean, easy. I think it's just a new product that I'm just looking forward to trying.
All right, well, I look forward to seeing the results. We're going to go to Tom's studio right now, and we're going to test out Run-A-Stone, so let's go.